Hello. Smash out my head. Well, welcome, you guys. Hey, listen. I've been meditating on certain ideas regarding the way that I teach, what I teach, how I teach it. Airplanes, they've just been going crazy today. It's like the whole town's filling up for this New Year's celebration. We're the droppingest town on earth. We really are. Key West has like five different places on the island where a different drop comes, and a couple thousand people show up at each one. And I'm responsible for two of those. Really, I created two, but I'm really the feet and the legs and the mind behind the giant um, champagne bottle, and that is a pop and not a drop. We pop out confetti at midnight. So, anyways, what I decided is that because listen, I read the Bible, and yesterday got in the way of work because I just got into where we're told not to read by the letter but by the Spirit because the letter kills, and this was by the Apostle Paul. Of course, I always discredit all these guys for being the guys that are teaching them because they're more or less just characters of the story. He has a buddy friend of his name's Titus. And all we know about Titus is that without Titus is the spiritual side of this, of Paul. That's what we wind up doing. Um, this is it comes from Corinthians. The second Corinthians is where that one particular scripture comes from. These stories of Corinthians are just amazing. And once I started reading, I went back to the first of it, and it's just the coolest stuff. Now I had to go in and find out what corn means. Corn means spear, a spear bearer. It's just wonderful. Yeah. I know what I was going to say. This is a spiritual book, and what I see when I look at it now, I understand what it's supposed to be saying. Now, if it's coming out of my mouth as Chinese or some other foreign language to you, I don't give a damn. I can't help it. That's just the way it's supposed to be. You got something wrong with your ears. All right. I haven't been doing a lot of writing, but if you were following me in the book and you still couldn't see what I was doing, that's your poverty. You just haven't gotten this yet, and it's just not ready for you yet. And when you read this particular part, the first, this Corinthians, First Corinthians, and Second Corinthians, they're talking about you. They're talking about a person that has actually, me too, that has crossed over. He's talking, hey, welcome, welcome over to our side. It's about time that we start telling you a little bit about us. So it's the introduction and all of that, mom, grandma knows, I want you to go and read these things or turn on the audio. And I want you to see if you smile through this. What happens is we wind up being spoken to when you change over to when you learn this other side of the Bible. And there is only one other side. The top side. There's like 5,000 or more different sides, ways of reading it. But when you catch on to things, then the idea is that it's talking more to you and not to masses, a group of people. And it's hardly, and you learn that adultery and homosexualism and all these things are electrical components of frequencies, and more, there's nothing physical at all about the scripture anymore. With when people develop the eyes that can see and the ones and the ears that can hear and have developed an understanding in their hearts. And if you can't do that and you haven't done that, well then It ain't your time yet. And, and for you guys that are really on the more intellectual side of things, and still you can't understand the idea that God is actually into helping people, the individual, gain control over himself, his mind, his thoughts, his own reality, and his own health, that this is a good thing. And that if you were to read the Bible correctly, you would find in the stories, especially in this Corinthians, the Corinthians is supposedly like a northern region in Greece, and this is where these people were like, rich, very rich. So this is that idea, you're rich. It even comes in as one of the parts at the end here. I do want to go over it with you, but I want you to go and read this because you won't believe this shit if I just tell you myself. But he has given to the poor. This winds up on a number 9. This winds up on the 9th. There's not a whole lot in all of these things, but there's like 13 chapters. And the first one is much longer. It seemed to go on forever. But it's the same thing. It was one of these ideas of, we have made it. This is for you guys. They're calling us saints now, that we are now ranked up there as the saints, and we are followers of Christ and apostles to Christ, is that we recognize these particular things. And we have taken ourselves out of the group and gone into this smaller group of people. And it's basically because that we have chosen to follow the teachings of Christ, which brings someone to the inside of their body of the 7 churches, which wind up being sealed later on, because this is the act of number 8, which is a control object, a controlling element to the mind of the human being, is that now you're locked tight in a situation of bounty, and not that you have to be given up total control over to this. And this is this idea that with you, with him, with the mind being one, the bounty is you're going to get a lot of knowledge. And every day, they talk about the death of the outside man, but the one on the inside is reborn every day, and we gain something more and more every day that this happens. So this is a buildup of light since this child has been born, that it grows with you. It's just absolutely wonderful. And again, the naysayers, people just don't understand all this shit. It's so new age to you. Enjoy it. This is supposed to be that to you. It's not supposed to be something that you understand. So get the hell out of here, because all this is going to do is make you talk even worse things about God, and just can't do that. And this is also offer up to people that think that any part of the story is real. Sodom and Gomorrah, let's take that for instance. And this is God saying that he is going to destroy something. Let's go back also not very far in time when he also said this to Jonah, to go over and tell Nineveh, I'm going to destroy you in 40 days. 40 days, all right? That's about what it takes to go from west to east in our brains, to change our minds. And it also follows along of, moon going out, the sun losing its light, and, going from silver, giving up the silver, and turning it to gold. And being cleansed of all of what was wrong with you, or could it be wrong with you, or what could be in you, inside and out, with just this little movement up to this beautiful place in our brains called Bethlehem, called it's all of it. It's Jerusalem, which is above, the mother of us all. She's been told us of everything. We have the Jordan, we have Jerusalem, Jordan's the lower playing field. That's how it works in these things. I'm sorry if you guys can't understand that. But our brain is actually divided into two things. We have a mom and a dad. The mother, we never talk about her hardly. If they don't, I do all the time. But she represents the right side of our brains. That's this side. My brain, what I'm seeing online doesn't go, it's totally opposite. This information has been handed down to some country guy from the Ozarks that has terrible dyslexia and absolutely suck in math and in spelling and stuff. And yet I have to use both of those crutches of mine to try to get any of this information out. Plus, I don't have, like, I don't have a fancy tongue of speaking and stuff like that. So, it's just sounds funny to some of my friends to hear me rattle off this stuff, and say, that's that same guy from karaoke night, but now I understand all this stuff. Um, the spear bearer is what the Irish, this is an Irish name, Corin, it's a spear. You have to understand that also Abraham's son winds up being an archer, right? Down along the lines, down at the midnight hour on the on the zodiacal calendar, down at midnight down there. Those two guys, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, they got arrows. They had to hunt. It's the hunting season. The dog in one of the stories is the second dog. Is the person who's the hunter. This is also the messenger. All these things. It's just beautiful. He's the shepherd. Shakespearean, the name says he's a shepherd. In numerology, it represents the number 6. It's a deep inner desire. Anyone who's named after this has a deep inner desire for change or stability, family union. 6 is when they're all gathering together. That's 6, the chakra. And it's expressing 5, which is the human being. And it says, it's excited by change and adventure and excitement. Now, this is just what the name means. So the different, words and letters and things associated with it. But the code is the code, my friends. It says these people of the number 5 of this one here says is that they fight being restricted by rules. And believe it or not, a Corinthian is just rich. He's been left free. He's been given back his life, so that he may have it more abundantly. And they speak of this as us. It's like, hey, you guys, hey, welcome aboard. It's like, a love boat, something's going down. My God, you guys. It also showed that something was happening to them in Asia. All right. And this is where, they were going to be killed. So this idea is like this us and them. Then they got away and snuck out the back door, through a back window and came down and got out. He took off. That's just one of the interesting parts of the story. So what do we have? We have them talking about not the ink, but into what the spirit is and what we see, So number 1 is talking about we have been anointed. Christ has left his seal on us, and that's what has happened, Welcome aboard. Second, number 2, and it's about us. I didn't write anything down because I want you to read that. It's just saying, this is what you could have been, this is what you was, and now this is what you have, and this is what you are, and this is what you got. 3, the letter killeth. This is the one where they talk about 3, that you have to learn to read this by the Spirit. But if this letter made you sad, that's the part of it. He says, because that same letter that made you sad and made you feel terrible. This is interesting. Look at, my God, you guys, it's raising the hairs on my arms. Can you see it? Can you see it? Oh my God. It's saying that us. Something's talking like us, like our brethren. All right. This is a story where your brethren are coming up and they're saying, listen, we were charged to do this. Our word would hurt you, but not really hurt you. But damn it, that word hurt. But listen, that same word set us free. That very same stuff. Once you know, get past that six, once you get over the works, once you find out what the works are, my God, you guys, I could cry. Anyways, in number three, it talks about the veil. Veil is the talking about Moses, and the veil is still on. Everyone's reading that business by the veil, but it says in here that the veil is lifted through Jesus Christ. I'm bringing that up because I've heard this several times, that with Jesus Christ there is no veil. Only when you can connect to the sowing of the seed business and get that sowing, and then you're in Jesus Christ. Then you're in there with Him. Then it is no longer a veil. That's where I'm at. All those other things are veiled. Every bit of our Bible is in a veil. Every single bit of it. The letter killeth, and the spirit giveth life. All right, then we go on to fourth. We wind up in number 4, which is worlds. We are earthly vessels for God. This is, they don't tell you in this one here, but this is where you can mix it up with other stories where you find that, who'll tell you, is it the gold in the temple, or is the temple the most important thing? It's the temple, you stupid asses. Without the temple, you would not have us, So go and read some of this. All right. Number 4, the earthly vessel, about manifesting in the body, bringing Christ in the body. And that when you do this, that now God dwells with you in the body. All right. And of course, they don't want you to feel like this idea of the death manifesting itself inside the mortal flesh. And then once you kill yourself, the death is over. All right. Manifest in our body, mortal flesh. This is basically where we get our wise counsel from. All right. Because we have sought this and we got our wise counsel. And now they're wise counseling us, from behind the scenes, helping us make our thoughts and our thinkings a little bit better, trying to bring us into a little light. And they also want us to show some of this light to our other buddies, Oh, it says, though the outward man perish, the inward man is renewed day by day. It's just beautiful. And not believing things that are seen, but by believing in things that are unseen. This is that idea, because, you don't know. You can't open you up and you can't find Jesus, and you can't find that Kundalini energy system. You can't see the little snake rolling around up there. You can't see that. You can't go and find the mother of us all on the right side of our brain. You can't find her. You can't find our thoughts and stuff like that. You can't go in there and see all that stuff. That's invisible stuff. It's a different realm. So here, that was 4, was the worlds, all right, that we be in an earthly vessel of some kind, all right. Here's the body becomes number 5, and they talk about being the clothing on top of this stuff, not that you're naked or anything like that. You're naked when you're in spirit. So who told you that you were naked, Who told you that, But over here, you learn that 5 is about the body. So you would see that it's, the Corinthians are talking about us, and they're walking up a ladder, talking to us by the number system. And so you'll see that we're the tabernacle, we're the house of God. They talk about being absent from the body, being present with the Lord. Remember, you can only see God in spirit. God is spirit. The only way you can see Him is in spirit. All right. So that means absent from the body, be present in the Lord. All right. So that when you're in your body, you're away from the Lord. That's the outside. It's just hard I wonder what other people are actually hearing when I say something like that. It's a sign kind of like, the peanut. Wah, 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 wah. It's a shame, just a shame. You know, we are made manifest. We bring this thing alive. All things are come new. All things are come new. It's a new you. It's a new wine. It's the new wine, which is spirit, the new wine skin. It's the body that it comes into. It's you all together being one. Frankincense and myrrh, clean inside and out. The new kingdom, the new heaven opens up, and the new earth, the new you. It's all about you, you know, and it reflects on the outside world around you. That's a beautiful thing. All right, what can be so terrible about that? What can sound so terrible about this? You know, that you have God in you. That you respect this idea that, wow, through me can this God finally get a little, a little light into this world. Is it me? No, but through me, he gets to operate. Is that terrible too? Is that like, woo, sacrilegious? You know, bullshit, you guys. Just bullshit. So if people can't understand this, it ain't their time. I swear it just seems like it comes right out of my mouth. So easy. So simple. And look, I'm just going down. I'm doing a synopsis of all this stuff. 6th chapter. All right? 6 chapters is about the works. The works. All right? What do they talk about? What's one of the first words out of their mouths during the workers? We are working for you. We're working. We're working. It's the day of salvation. Ministers of God. Telling us now you're a minister of God at this point. O ye Corinthians. And they've been given recompense. All right. We've been enlarged. All right. We've been brought up. And come out from among them, and I will be your God. All right. Everyone thinks that single eye is Satan. It's just so funny. Just so funny. That single eye is kryptonite to Satan. And so no one will go near that single eye. Therefore, no one will go near God and never come to him, never get close to him. And they're that far away, or from here to there, if you want to measure something, but it's generally a breath away. And that's where I tell people that, hey, that's not serving the Lord. You don't have this internal vine growing that you seeded, this internal vine that's split into 3, and made fruit, made grapes, squeeze them out with your own hand and serve it to God. Give him that little piece of you, that tithing, that piece of tossing our nets over to the right side. I'm speaking Spanish now. Well, this is good for the Spanish people. Maybe they understand, I have to be speaking something like, from outer space, because someone out there should be able to understand me. I'm only going to 7. No, we're going 8, 9. We're going to go the number system. All right. So 7, cleansing. All right. This is, the scrubby bubbles coming out. This is in my painting of that devil, wrath. He's got that acme, he's going to clean up the town. He's cleaning up after him, after his mess, And does he actually get killed? No, he just gets thrown in the water. He just gets thrown in the bath. And that water's truth cleans him up for a season. Now I know what a season is. I had to go through the sorrows for a season. Who knows how long that was? But now I got this one here for the rest of the season. I'm just so happy. So 5 was the body, 6 is the workers, 7 is cleansing. All right. And this is all on the positive sides of these number systems. Okay, so this is the coming of Titus. They're talking about, this was John's, or Paul is talking about his sidekick buddy that comes up here, and it was him that's done all this work for him. I'm doing it on his behalf. So he's the spiritual side that he's talking for. All right, and of course this is where they talk about the letter making you sorrow, and that same, that same very same text now. Once you learn, because you were scared, it brought you into fear and like, oh God, is there any help at all? It's when that happens. I was talking to the preacher. I was talking when he was before my last preacher was a good friend of mine, and before he died, I just remember telling him. I said, I have been doing so much thinking on this, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. If you're worried about the second coming, it's not going to come. Not until man gets it right." And I said, "Is that what you think? I don't think we're ever going to get it right." And he says, "Why is that?" I said, "Because I think we pray all the time for something great, beautiful to happen, and it doesn't happen. I think our prayers are being absurd." And he just laughed. He says, "Who do you think is getting them?" I said, "Satan." I, I think that no matter what we do, we're handing it over to Satan. And it wasn't a couple of weeks later that he dies, but we didn't have any further conversation on that. He laughed at me, you know. This guy's 90 years old, Let him laugh. Let him laugh. I'm having the last laugh. I'm still alive. But he was a wonderful guy. I'm pretty sure he has to come back again. He lived very well off of the church. He was just, it makes you one happy motherfucker, man. It's just a shame, because if he learned what I'd learned in all this time, because I was going to go, I damn sure was just about to give up my life and go on to some monk, and I was going to become some kind of a monk. I was on my way. That was before he died, and then all of a sudden, all this stuff happened. I actually wound up, not having a great time. I lost a place to live, where usually people where I live love me, but this woman had died, and I was caretaking of her properties. And when her daughter came in, which she wasn't in very much likings of her daughter, her only daughter, I think she wanted a boy. But anyways, I know she did. And she treated her daughter like shit. So here's another old woman like Miss Marshall that I became like, a beach armor to. Just loved them. Absolutely loved them. And they loved me too. I'd do anything for them. And we were just all happy families. We all knew each other. They were jealous of each other. But then at that time, I have about, the ones that are live, I have a whole mess of adopted moms, moms that adopted me. And all of them treated their children terrible. As if I was like, to teach her how to do something better. But all I did was all their families, their children, hated me. They said, "Oh, he's after her property. He's after this." And I didn't want anything. Never did. But it made them, think things that were really evil and mean. And it just never did manifest. But anyways, this woman just had enough of me. This daughter says, well, I called her a bitch, a crazy bitch, after she said I smelled like my dog, and that she was going to change the energy of the house. She's going to put a woman back in there, a girl. I said, God damn, But anyways, I just had no more. I didn't have any love in that place. But anyways, it put me in a really tight place. It's right before I got where I'm here with Mariko. And there was that little in-between place. I think it's where all this stuff happens, because it shows that, hey, it was a year ago. They're always talking about in the stories. So, and I want you to read it. You'll hear it says, you were ready a year ago. But, it just, it's almost like when go and tell Pharaoh to let you go, And then, he's Pharaoh says you're free to go, and then he hardens his heart, makes him hold back even longer. He says, I'm going to do this, so that he really, really knows when he gets this, he's going to get it. But I'm going to tell you the stories that I think I got off of this. Is that God doesn't kill things. So these stories in the Bible about God killing, throwing buildings down and killing people, destroying buildings and destroying earth and destroying things, that's your fantasy. That's your folly. God can't do that. It's also making something bad out of something good. God can't do that. Can't hurt nothing. Wouldn't hurt nothing. Can't hurt nothing. It's absolutely physically impossible for this beautiful Son of God to do stuff like that. It's just not able to do it. Nothing in that Bible is truthful, except for what you find out once you go inside it. There's the truth. It's hidden. It's beneath it all. It's in what you can't see, the part that you have to believe in. It's right there. It tells you that in our Bibles. So cleansing is what you get on the 7th. But listen, watch this. That letter that made me sorrowful, long lines of your salvation, and you just feel like there's just no way. You can't. He tells you that being with mankind, they want you to live with this. There's no salvation through mankind. You have to go through yourself, but they will hide even that from you. All right. But he says, but didn't that word what you got was, we got it carefully brought carefulness was brought to it. A lot of us like the guy with the big G and little G. The carefulness. We were stepping on a crack, break your mama's back. And kids used to go out of their way not to step on the cracks. Most of us did. So it brought carefulness to you. It brought a clearing to you. It brought indignations to you. It brought fear to you. And it brought this something villain desire. 5. 6 is zeal. 7 is revenge. They're saying that this is good because revenge is when you finally get it all cleaned out. Boom! That's what it is. We're talking about 7. Get it cleaned, all of that garbage out of you. All of it. That's what you get. That's what you get. It doesn't kill things. This is about changing your mind. That's what they did with those guys in Nineveh. He didn't destroy them. They all became really good. They all learned the word. They all learned the law. And they followed what these people were telling us how to do. And it's just simple. Just go inside yourself and hook up. Hook mom and dad up, And then watch. See what happens. 8 becomes abundance. We always know that this is where we get our feeding from most of the time at 8 because, we made it through. There's references to equality, balance. This is what you were looking for. State of Israel is to be, is to balance your cross between the right and the left side. That's what happens. When we go into from the virgin mind, the first thing we do is to acknowledge that we are going in this through Libra in order to get this balance between what is right and what is wrong. Titus and the churches are talking about having a great time, that he's the one that'll go and speak for you on your way. Giving him like an us, we're hearing us in here, us, and we are helping you, and we we along with you were in suffering with you, and now we along with you are in the abundance of things. But now we've been given the keys to give you some pretty neat things, and each into their own individuals' desires, you know. Wow, it's just raising the hairs on my arms again. All right. So now 9 comes in and it becomes your rest, you're happier. God loves a cheerful giver. We gave him up. We gave ourselves up. It was what we did. 9 is the consciousness. 9 is about a positive side that we have now flipped the switch from, the carnal existence with bloodshed and fear and anger and oppression and division, stuff like that. All those things that we have, that we do. All those Christian things that we do. Listen to this. It's a busy day today, I'm telling you. This is where we learn that we're saints, that this is about, we become the saints in this thing. Let's see, what do I have here? Where does 2 come from? For I know the forwardness of your mind. Is what it says in number 2. So 2 is about our bodies, about, this God's creation would be the physical side of us and the spiritual side that are inside of us. This is how we are made. Our minds left and right. This is the potential that we have. But it says here in 2 on these particular stories, for I know the forwardness of your mind, which means we're moving forward. We're going forward, just not backwards. And so in number 9, he says, and he hath given to the poor. So it's like, as it is written, we're the poor when you don't have this. So the outside world has got nothing to do with giving to poor people that are laying dead on the road or ain't got no food or anything like that. There is no something coming to them. Their own little angels probably have to help them. Plus, the sorrows, the works that the church does has to do this. It's like they have to make up for what are they doing with all their fucking millions. They're not, like the Catholic Church. I hear that you can just liquidate one room full of gold that they have, and they can take care of world poverty, just that easily. All right. What do we get out of this? Remember, there's no outside relationship. It's all inside. The poor is you. If you don't have God in you, you're one poor motherfucker. And if you are rich, you got him in there. I got him in there. But he only comes into people that are poor. I don't think my rich friends could get it. I don't think they could. They gave their lives for me. They gave their friendships so that I could understand all this stuff a lot better. All right, so I've also been working through the book of Exodus. Not Exodus, in the beginning. We're talking about Genesis. And I've been taking the number 2 out of all of the scripture. And there's 50 different chapters, and I'm into number 25. All right, it's really cool. It's quite an interesting read. But anyways, I pulled out the number 2. I'm pretty sure that was the number that I had. So that would be number 2, number 11, 28, 10 or something. But anyways, I don't have that kind of mind to just pull them out right now. But I kept going over and over and over, and still I don't have them in my brain as a memory. But anyways, it goes like 2, 11, 28, 10, 11. Oh, well, forget it. Just go and check it out yourself. It's the coolest shit on earth. So anyways, we're going to end all of this information today by telling you at the same, you and any other naysayers that are out there that, I didn't write the Bible, but I have learned how to read it. And But I have discovered this code. And this code makes our Bible out to be mechanical, most mechanical, and that this code shows up in a whole mess of other places. And all these places are talking about getting mom and dad together, or a prince and a princess, or a princess and a frog, or a Jack and the Beanstalks type of person just trying to bring riches into their lives. And this is the way they do it, you know, when they want to connect with the Lord and serve Him correctly. All right. So this is where we separate the true wine bearers from the bakers out there. All right. I love you guys. Best to you.